Hey guys, Jaryd Krause, and do you want to learn how to buy a website business and grow it rapidly in a short amount of time with some really good link building strategies? Well, in this episode, I speak to Dan Ray, who is a genius at building links and helping his clients make thousands of dollars from their sites by building them with really good link building strategies. In this episode, we also talk about why most of the SEO stuff that we learn online is actually BS and what we should be doing differently. We also learn what Dan's 10 by 10 strategy is to building links. And then if you are really interested in getting a lot of value from this episode, be sure to listen all the way to the end of this podcast because Dan and I give you something absolutely excellent that you don't want to miss out on. Hey guys, Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And today I'm speaking with none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dan Ray. And look at his little chill, cozy spot over there. I love it. And Dan's a beast in SEO, systemizing businesses, processes, and particularly what you do now, Dan, is you really focus on link building. And I love that. I love Dan's approach and passion towards link building because there's so many just dead, terrible companies out there link building to PBNs, and we'll dig into that during our chat today, Dan. But thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate you having on the show.
You are very welcome, Squire.
So, a lot of my clients are wanting to build their sites through SEO, and link building is a massive part of that. So, link building is, like, for everybody listening, it's the off-page type SEO, and most people coming to this space, Dan, they're like, I want to buy a business because it's really freaking hard to start one. 90% of startups fail. And they're like, all right, they get it. And they're like, what sort of SEO should I be doing? I know there's this black hat, there's this white hat type stuff. What's this gray hat stuff? Do you have a definitive answer? And I know it can be like a little bit, a change as the algorithms change, but what would you yourself call white hat as opposed to black hat?
Well, I would call, I've always sold myself as a white hat. Everything we do is against Google's terms of service. So it's like, what do they sort of, allow to happen? Like, what do they know about and what are they okay with and they're not fighting? And sort of outreach links, which is what I do. It's basically showing, creating something cool, showing it to people who might find it cool and who have an audience who'll be interested in it. And that's the summation of how we do outreach. And it's like, that's the most acceptable to Google. But at the moment, they're kind of against all of us. They don't want any of us doing any of this shit.
And why would you say?
So we're all black hat.
Even when we call ourselves white hat, we're just like, nah, Google, you're a black hat.
Yeah, we're just different shades of black to them.
Yeah. And I guess it's because they want to just keep making their algorithm, their engine just so good in a way that, because there's so many dodgy people out there doing, trying to show Google that they're adding value to sites and doing the right thing, but they're just not. And would you see a lot of rookies trying to start doing SEO and just ruining it for all the other people that are doing good SEO?
Yeah, well, it depends what you mean by good SEO, right? Because if good SEO means ranking sites, there are black hats doing it, there are white hats doing it. So it's like, what do you consider good? It's what your own business is capable of. What I do is I sell white hat link building for the simple reason of people will pay more for it because they know it's harder and takes longer. And also their business will probably still be around in 10 years' time. Whereas if you do some of the sort of more shady black hat techniques, and one of those gets targeted by Google and swept up in an algorithm, your site's fucked. You're dead.
Yeah.
And that can happen overnight. People, you don't know it's coming. An algorithm update happens, your site's dead and your business is dead. All of your employees going hungry next month. See you later.
Yeah, I've seen that happen too with this last one. I think it was Dr. Axe or Dr. McCullough or something, where it just like Google just decided, nah, we don't want to rank your pages because, you know, you're talking about something that we probably don't agree on in the health industry. And that's a huge site. Like they just stopped ranking them. I saw this.
Yeah,
I
well,
saw the
that's the thing, isn't it? It's if you're saying something on Google now, which is, I guess they're looking for factual information,
Mm.
and you're saying something that's not, backed by mainstream science. They're saying that's not a fact, and your site's worthless in the search results.
It's pretty hard, hey, because you've got what you call fact, like is people putting out facts on the internet anyway, and you look at, you know, Wikipedia and different things and just like, well, it can change in the matter of like a couple of hours what Google believes is like the correct fact. So it's a really hard one to do. And talking
Well,
about like,
especially if you're delving into science, because science by its nature changes the more you learn.
yeah, that's right. And I mean, the world is evolving at such a rapid rate. You know, the amount of information that's pouring into the internet, especially into Google, is crazy. And so you only selling white hat link building strategies. So talk to us about like how do you go about doing that? Like when somebody comes to you with a site like, Dan, like I want to be around for good 5-10 years and I want to get good traffic to my site that's actually high quality. Like where do you start with their site?
It's maybe an oversimplified way of saying it, but it's 4 basic steps, right? You either already have something cool or controversial, interesting, useful, that kind of thing, any of those sort of words.
USP.
You create a list of people and blogs and sites that will find it interesting, who have your audience, your people who will be interested in that thing. Then you show it to them. And then the 4th step is just to follow up, because most links, around about 60 or 70%, I think we calculated a few years ago, they come from the follow-up. People ignore the initial email.
Yeah.
So if you follow up with them and you say, yo, like, I'm a real person, I'm not just some fucking robot who's mass emailed 10,000 people. I specifically chose your site to give this to. People appreciate that you're a real human and talking to them like a human. Those are the 4 steps that we do, and we just do it over and over again, and we get a shitload of links for it.
Yeah. I've talked to somebody else about this. Are you adding value to their site and that's why you do a link exchange, or is there paid tactics that you use as well? Or
no doubt a lot of people, and this is partially to do with Black Hats, because they've been going out and saying, they can't be asked doing real outreach. So they say, yo, we'll give you a couple of quid. Quid is pounds, by the way. And, just in case your listeners don't know. And if you'll link back to us, right? Because it seems like an impossible thing for Google to track. They'll never know that link's been bought, right? So Black Hats are just going out, they're offering money. The link looks white hat. So for all intents and purposes it is, but they've paid for it. So certain industries where a link is highly valuable, where they're harder to get, they sort of become accustomed to, oh shit, I can ask for money for this. I get that pitch. Their immediate response is, let's ask for money. So, for example, in the travel industry, if you ever do it in the gambling industry, casinos, like you just have to take your money out, because there's absolutely no way to get free links.
Yeah.
And we do have some methodology. I do teach my students that it's always possible with the right angle and the right content to get free links. And we do prove this on a daily basis. We did a training last week where one of my group members, hi BB, she'll be watching this. She got like 10 links out of 30 emails. And that's crazy numbers, right?
That's
But
great
because you're
conversion.
speaking to the person, you're speaking to the person on the end as a person. They're not just a fucking number at the end of an email. It's not like, oh, we sent out our 200 emails this week. It's, oh, I sent one to, Jaryd.
Yeah.
And I did this research on Jaryd. I found out what Jaryd wanted, what would be valuable to him. And I crafted a message for him. And that makes you way more susceptible to reply to me. in the first place. And then if we build some sort of banterous relationship, like we have a few jokes and shit, but you're going to give me that link, aren't you?
Exactly. And that's a great piece of value for everybody listening, is like being a human being and showing that you've actually gone away and done the work and shared with them. It's called explained value. And you explain to them the value that you can add to their site by them linking to you, and you building a relationship together and doing that research. It may take you half an hour to go through like a fair few good pages on their site and work out what they're really about, and then craft that message and share with them in that email, so they see like, oh, this isn't just like, hey, give me a link. I'll help you out here if you give me a link. It's like, hey, I see this on your site. I think this would.
You know what's really, really simple? One of the things that people reply to us most with that surprises the fuck out of me. They say, oh, thanks for actually reading our requirements.
Yeah.
Because nobody else does it.
Yeah. People, especially in this day and age, people will just churn and burn, and they don't realize the power of like what I've realized in my business and businesses is like the best way to grow them is connecting with people and networking with people and building good relationships. And you can have like, say, instead of having, BB went out and did 30 emails, and she built 10 good relationships. Now those 10 good relationships are better than having 30 not so good relationships.
Yeah, well, the hilarious thing about that is BB did that in a campaign where somebody had paid her to do 2 trial links.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
Imagine the relationship you then have with your client if they paid you for 2, but you've done, you sent 30 emails thinking, oh, I might get 2 of them. But in actual fact, they've got 10 links for the price of 2.
Yeah.
And we sell based on number of targets because our conversion rate is so high. We don't sell based on number of links. We say we'll approach 200 people for you. And we do have a minimum guarantee of 10 links because people want to know they're not getting ripped off, right?
Yeah.
So at the absolute minimum, at the worst, our campaign can perform, they're paying £200 per link.
Yeah.
And that's even cheap for some Black Hat types of links.
Yeah, and this upside is they're getting good links, right? They can sell from
these
what
are
you
real
do.
links on real sites where we've built a relationship with a real person. But to answer your question, we do buy links on occasion if it's in one of those industries. But we also do keep tracking our spreadsheet of everybody who comes back to us and says, because it's going to happen in every single industry, everybody who comes back to us and says, oh yeah, sure, we'll accept a guest post, or we'll put your link in one of our articles, whatever. Here's the price. We list all of this for the client.
Yeah.
And we don't count that towards our link count. But if they decide that they want to follow up on that, it's completely their choice. It's completely transparent. And I will always say to them, here's the potential risks of doing this. Currently, the risks are very low because I don't see how Google can find
out that you're paying money.
Yeah, the only risk that you have is that if somebody's selling you a link and then I approach them the next week, they're also selling me that link, right?
Yeah.
So it's in no way exclusive whatsoever. It's everybody who's got that money is getting that link.
And is there much risk? Have you seen people pay for a link and they've put that link up for a month or 3 months or 6 months and then taken it down? Like,
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But that happens with free links too.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have a link. I'm not going to call the website out. I have a link that's basically my life story. I wrote how I became an entrepreneur, how I started my business, all this stuff. And they removed my link. So it still says, here, this is a post from Dan Ray. No link. Here's his life story and how he got started as a business. No reference to me whatsoever other than that initial paragraph.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because isn't that just stupid by them on an SEO sense, because they're not having outbounding links to something that's relevant? Because don't they get, not, I wouldn't say penalized, but like, isn't it good to have a link that's relevant to what's being said in the actual post?
These are I don't want to call them myths. What's a lower word than myth, but still made up?
Chinese whispers.
Right. These are the types of, let's say, misinformation, right?
Yeah.
What you just said is the type of thing that goes around in the SEO industry. Oh, this thing really works. It boosts rankings or whatever. And people will be like, everyone buys into it. They go, oh yeah, so it's worked on a few people's sites, and in science, personal experience is not evidence. So if you do something and it boosts your rankings, it does not make that thing boost rankings. It has to be tested and verified over and over again, repeatedly and predictably.
Yeah.
That is one of the things. And there are a lot of SEO testing groups coming out at the moment. And what we see is that that's not always the case. And it's probably not the case that an outbound link does anything but demote.
Yeah.
So the industry is absolutely rife with misinformation, but with the current climate, I think all of this stuff is going to be scientifically proven. It's like, this is what works and this is what doesn't. You can either pay to have that information, or you're working on bad information.
Yeah, you're working on something you don't actually have solid concrete evidence from these companies that are coming out testing. So that's a good place to start, I suggest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you asked me about SEO earlier before we came on, before we hit the live button, and it's like, I don't like to talk about SEO that much because up until fairly recently, we've never had tools that could show you exactly what to do. It's always been like, oh, I heard this works, and put your exact match anchor text in links and put your H1 tags and make sure it's in your meta description 3 times and all that stuff. And it's based on absolutely nothing. It's like plucked out the air. Someone decided it, put it on a popular blog or whatever, or on a forum, and then that's the thing now.
Yeah.
But then
it gets recycled around.
Yeah, and there are tools like, I use one called Cora, Cora.
Yeah.
And there's one called Page Optimizer Pro, which is good. I believe there's Surfer SEO, but I haven't used that either. And these are correlation tools. So what they do is they show you exactly what the algorithm is rewarding. And what we find is that it's relative to almost every single search term. The algorithm is looking for something different for every search term.
Yeah. Wow. It's so good that you highlight that, because filtering through all of that rubbish, I guess, is just going to send entrepreneurs and site owners around in circles. And I guess this just comes back to, like, if you actually are serious about growing your business, like, go away and get help. Or if you want to achieve any level of success, go away and get help from somebody who's done it and they have a proven track record. They know what they're doing, and it's not just a myth. It's based on evidence, on working with different people as well.
There's even a second layer. So you have these tools, right, that I've just told you about. They can, to different extents, they analyze ranking factors that were decided by the owners. So there's some inherent bias in every single tool, but it's like, they will show you what the sites are doing. They're not showing you what to do, how to rank. So they say, the top 10 sites for this search term, it has this many words, or it has this many images and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a well-known fact that correlation does not equal causation. So to add a second layer to that, you have a correlation tool, you have all the data, and then you compare that to sort of single variable tested data. So this thing sort of, let's use one for example. You have your keyword in your meta title, right? Everything I say beyond here is made up. I'm not saying actual facts. So we're saying your keyword is in the meta title, right? And that's true for the top 5 websites for your search term. But then we do a single variable test, where you show that it has 0 impact whatsoever. And in fact, what it does is it demotes your rankings if you have your keyword in the meta title.
Wow.
Or description, whatever, right? What do you do then? Do you just follow along because everyone else is doing it wrong and the correlation data says it? Or do you do what your test data actually shows. So
Yeah.
that's how SEO is evolving from. You used to be able to download a WordPress plugin and it'd say, add it to your H1 tag and you get a little tick. Add it to, it's mentioned 3 times in your first paragraph, add a little tick. And it's just not the way it is anymore.
Yeah. And that's what you're taught for everybody listening is like when you have a WordPress site and you have like this Yoast SEO plugin or whatever, it tells
Yoast. I was trying not to say Yoast, but yeah, Yoast.
Who cares? But yeah, I mean, I guess that's built. And that's as everybody listening is like when you're building your business on Chinese whispers and regurgitated information.
Fucking guesswork. That's what I call
It's
it.
guesswork, yeah, and it's sending you around into a spin. And that's why you're so successful, Dan, is because you're going based on facts and real good feedback on not just your
And
own.
also, I should probably shout it out because this is not my data. I'm not doing the tests myself. I'm using a dude called Josh Baczynski's test data.
Yeah, awesome.
So if you
Thanks,
all want to
Josh.
check him out, yeah, it's fantastic.
So let's talk about your 10, is it 10 times 10 link building strategy? Like,
Yeah.
is that because I saw that and I thought, well, is that something that somebody who's just bought a website should get stuck into and start
It's
learning?
the first thing I do on any website.
Yeah, okay.
Because what it does, so the idea is just to explain it briefly. I want to build 10 pages that target 10 different keywords, right? And these things should not be in any way related. So we're not doing like, e-cigarettes and vape pens. That's completely different. We're doing cats, dogs, dolphins, right? Things that aren't related whatsoever, but still within my industry. And what I want to do is create 10 of those pages and try and get 10 links through outreach to each of those pages. Because what it does is, as a proof of concept, it shows you at least 10 people are willing to link to that page, which means the page is generally quite good.
Okay. And where do you create these? You create these pages on different sites or?
No, they would all be on one site.
Okay, so you create a separate site with 10 different pages and you link it to.
So let's do it exactly for your audience, right?
Yeah.
So you're all buying websites. I don't know where you buy them from, like Flipper and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can buy them from Flipper. There's brokers that are, have higher quality listings at the moment.
Yeah.
Say we buy one from Flipper. So
yeah, well, we buy one from one of your brokers, whatever, it doesn't matter. The first thing you want to do is determine which 10 keywords you can rank for that aren't related to each other and aren't going to cross each other over. So what you don't want to do is have the same words in the same on different pages.
yeah.
So we're not looking at
we can use the animal example as well if you like.
Well, we can, but I'm looking at stuff in my room. We're not looking at Warhammer 40,000 and then Warhammer Age of Sigmar, right?
Yeah.
These are two things that are the same. They're a Games Workshop game, but they share the word Warhammer, right? So we do 40,000 and Age of Sigmar because you just don't want that crossover of Warhammer.
Okay.
So whatever I do it with 10 because it's just a good round number, but it doesn't have to be 10, right? If you only have 6 things that are in your industry, just do 6. That's fine. But try to get 10 links to it through outreach. It verifies the quality of the pages. So it means you can probably read them.
Okay, so now I get it. So on the site that you build or you buy, say it's like a gaming review site, and then you create 10 different stories or 6 different stories about different products.
Yeah, you'd have like Fortnite, FIFA, right?
Yeah.
Those are completely fine as pages because they're still games, but they're not related in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, and then you go away and do some outreach and get links coming back into each one of those, and then it really helps Google to see that you're.
Yeah, but it's good for Google to have those 10 links for those 10 pages, but it's more for you, right? Because if you can't get 10 links, your page is probably shit.
Yeah.
So you change your page and then do more outreach until you can get 10 to it.
Yeah.
It's not like chugging along and like, oh, I've got one link and I've got another one, because we want to do these huge campaigns where you're getting 100 links And if you can't get 10, you can't get 100.
That's right. So start somewhere.
If some of your people went out and did that, they go out and buy a site today, create 10 new pages, or they might already have 10 of these pages. You don't have to create new pages.
Yeah.
Don't get 10 links to each page. The value of that site's probably gone up.
Yeah. Oh, certainly, because you're building so much. I guess you might not like call it this because this is a regurgitated word of the internet, but link juice, I guess, or SEO juice, or whatever you want to call it. Do you buy into that, or
whatever word you want?
Do you buy into that sort of analogy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you get a link, you borrow some authority from the site that's linking to you.
For sure. And so say you've got, like, say I buy a site, or one of my clients buys a site, and they do the 10 pages and they get 10 links in, or they got the 10 pages, they may already be there, and there's competitors out there that you're like, I want them to get them to link into my site. Is there a certain like way that you can go about getting competitors to link to your site? Because that's a kettle of fish probably, right?
Kidnap their children. I don't know. It's going to be really hard to get a competitor to link to you.
Yeah.
But not impossible. Like I always say, so here's an example, right? If you create some data that doesn't exist in your industry, and your competitor wants to stay up to date with their news section or whatever, and give their audience the best thing, they have no option but to link to your data, because it's the only version of that data. If it's necessary for your industry and it doesn't exist and you create it, everyone has to link to it. There's no choice.
Yeah. So the goal is creating such a high value piece content where you can't get it anywhere else. And
but I mean, to be completely honest, I wouldn't waste prospects on competitors. I would find a much easier path, right? Path of least resistance.
Yeah. Awesome, man. And so where did you where did you start learning all this stuff? Like, obviously you've probably gone down the route like me and so many other entrepreneurs of like doing things that are sending us around in circles and not knowing what to do, I guess, and making some mistakes. Like, we all do that if you're a human being, right? Like, where did you start getting? How did the?
And I don't have like a big like failure story.
Yeah.
Like, I've been quite lucky in terms of most of the stuff that I've tried has worked so far. So it's like, I'll tell you from a really abridged version from the very start, right? In university, I wanted to be a writer. So I was writing for all these shit blogs like how to meet girls and how to meet boys, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And football, I was just writing whatever I could write in terms of things that I was interested in. Someone says to me once, and I'm charging £30 for an article, a 500-word article. Someone says to me once, "Oh, can you SEO your articles?" And the kind of guy I am, I go, yeah, sure. Don't know what the fuck it means, right? We pay £60 for an SEO article, so I'm like, right, better find out what that means. So Google SEO and start looking at the forums, and what I find is Pat Flynn's website, right, Smart Passive Income.
Yeah.
He used to have a page that was called the backlink strategy that works. Just as a note to the viewers, does not work anymore. Right. So I learned how to do SEO there. And then I'm like, yo, if these guys are paying me like £60, how much are they making from it? So I'm like, right, we need to start my own thing.
Yeah.
So I and another guy from a forum, don't want to say his name, he's a big name in SEO now, but we weren't at the time. We started our own website. We quickly built it to a stage of like 30,000 views a month. And then we're like, shit, we can actually do this. But the industry that we're in, it wasn't big money, right? We're making like a couple of hundred, a couple of thousand at the most.
Yeah.
So then we're like, right. He went the training route straight away. So he starts like teaching people how to do SEO, even though he's a fucking, at this time, an absolute rookie. He still doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's teaching other people. And I go the route of, right, I'll just walk around my town, take a picture, and I have like an old school digital camera, right? A couple of young viewers won't even know what they are.
Point and
Like
shoot.
you used to not have cameras on your phone. So I did your camera and I just walk around, and every time I saw a website and a phone number on a business, either on a van or like on a, the front of a shop, I just took a picture of it. I got home, I had like 35 of them, called them all up and I said, yo, here's what I can do. Do you want me to do it for you? A couple of them said, yeah. And we're talking day one here. Like, I'm on about £5,000 a month. And me at the time, I'm straight out of university. I'm like, shit, this is good money.
Yeah.
So I've been on that road ever since. It's not, nothing's ever really changed.
Yeah.
And then one day I wrote this article that was like, because someone asked me, I was speaking to just on the Warrior Forum, speaking to some guys, and they're like, so like, what do you do? And like, how do you do it? Can I do it? Can you teach me how to do it? So I'm like, I never liked the thought of releasing like £30 guides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wrote a free blog post that was like, instead of like showing people how to do it theoretically, I was like, I will do it from scratch again. So I built a £2,000 recurring per month SEO agency in 2 weeks. And that was my first ever blog post, right? I didn't even own a domain at the time. So I bought it, published that. It blew up. It's had like 2 or 3 million views now.
Awesome.
People have downloaded all the information. So it's like, from that moment, I was like, fuck, people really want to know this. So by doing that, I was like building an email list and stuff like that. I've got like 130,000 people. And I was like, I see all these other Facebook groups popping up. And I'm like, I should probably have a piece of that, right? So I started one. Yeah. And then like a day later, I have like 500 members and here we are.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. And so learning all this sort of stuff, like, did you learn it from reading a whole lot of stuff online, like learning this SEO stuff and link building stuff, or did you have a coach or a mentor or in some of these forums and groups and communities? Or
I've never learned SEO from anybody until Josh Spaczynski.
Okay.
Because he has like a mentorship group and you have to join this to have access to his data. I'm not super interested in learning SEO from people.
Yeah.
But I wanted the data that he had, right? And his insights match very closely to when he interprets something that he sees, it's the way I would, or the most closely that to what I would interpret as well.
Awesome.
So I think when you find that, it's just like, yeah, I'll hang around in this guy's group and see what he's got available.
Yeah. And I just asked that because there's so many groups out there and different communities, and I've got one as well. And I guess you just got to find, like what you're saying is, you just got to find one that suits you and how you would like to learn, your learning style, I guess, and how you would like to take in that information, because there's so many people out there that are just talking rubbish and recycling regurgitated information, like we've been saying before. And when you find something,
a lot of what I tell people is that the person you're following is probably right about some things. They're probably wrong about some things. I'm probably the same. But if you generally stick to something, you do the basics of what that person is. Like, don't take exactly what the person's saying, but take the core of it and be like, how can I apply that to what I'm doing? And do the basics really well and really consistently. You'll generally have success. And that's kind of all there is to it. I use words and language as a sort of filter, right? I want to find people who, they don't care if, well, like, what are you like for swearing? What are your audience like?
Oh, that's fine. We don't, it's all good. Like,
okay.
We don't say the C word, but yeah.
Well, I was about to bust off the C word, so I'm glad you said that. So I use the C word as a filter. So if you come into my group and you see me saying the C word and you take offense at that and you decide the rest of the information that I have is not relevant to you because I said that word, you're not my kind of people. Quite simple. And my group's fairly small in comparison to others, but it's really well run, I think. We have really cool people in there. We do like, one of the biggest problems that people have is that thing of doing it consistently that I just spoke about. So every weekday at 3 p.m. English time, that'll be like middle of the night for you guys. But 3 p.m. till 5 p.m., we sit there for 2 hours in a Zoom call and we all do work. We say what we're going to get done, and we try and get it done in those 2 hours. And imagine having 2 hours every day where all you do is do work, like, and one focused task. That's crazy productivity.
It's
Better
80/20
than
rule.
what most people do
Yeah,
in an 8-hour job.
exactly. It's so much.
Imagine what you could achieve if you started doing that tomorrow.
And that's what I say to all my clients as well, is like, you've got one thing to do this week. A lesson may take you an hour to 2 hours, and then take some action on it. And you get a chunk of time out of your week. And it's like the most productive time that's actually going to move the needle towards you actually achieving your goal, rather than jumping on the couch and sitting down and watching some rubbish that's not going to allow you to get you to your goals. So,
yeah, right. And it helps to have, there are people in that group they've grown with me over time. Like, I started teaching them 2 years ago, and now we're friends, right? So I'm not really teaching them anything anymore, but we're all sat in that room together.
Yeah.
So when you attend that room as somebody who has no experience, you have all these people around you who are like really successful, and they're like,
right.
it's free coaching, free mentorship.
Yeah.
If you want to know something that I like, think of the shortcuts you can have if you come in and you go, oh, I'm sending out this pitch to people and I'm not getting a good response from it. We can look at it and say, yeah, here's why, because we sent that pitch 5 years ago, and here was the problem with it. Here's what we changed, and here's how it started working. Imagine having that with you every day for 5 days.
Yeah. So
for
powerful.
Multiple people as well. We disagree. There are people in the group who disagree with each other, but listen to all of them.
And then take what you want and leave what you
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. And that's just the power of like a good community and networking. Like they say your network is your net worth, but it depends on how you want to interpret it. But when I've got like friendship groups in my community that hang out with each other and are in their own mini group, and they're like push each other and egg each other on and give each other tips and info. And it's just so good, because that's the power like of building, like I come back to what I said earlier in the call, is like building really good relationships. And I just want to say, Dan, like, I'm glad that we were able to have you on, because I've just learned so much, and I know the whole audience has learned so much as well. And where can people go out and find out more about you and what you're doing?
You might as well join the Facebook group. The second you get in there, it's an inappropriate place at times. The second you get in there, the first thing you'll see is the current pin post, which is the suck Dan's dick strategy to getting links and clients. There will be no fellatio involved, but if that kind of thing offends you, you probably don't want to be in there. But if you don't mind it, but you still want to see, it's probably the best training that I've ever actually made in terms of content. If you want to see that kind of stuff and you don't care about the language, come join us. It's danray.me/FB, and that's like a 301 redirect.
Awesome.
That will send group.
Awesome, guys. Such a valuable group to join. I think I joined just the other day as well. If everybody,
I'm surprised we let you in.
I was going to say something really, really dirty then. Maybe because I'm straight. Maybe because I'm straight. I'll keep it like that. For everybody that is wanting to learn more about this whole buy sites and then grow them with really good link building and SEO and all that sort of stuff. First, start off with learning how to do due diligence. You can't go away and buy a site. Well, you don't want to go away and buy a lemon and then try and make it grow or grow it, because it's just going to be so much harder. So do your research really well. Get my free tools on due diligence, my due diligence framework. I've got other resources as well. Just go to buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources. Get that stuff there. And for everybody listening, thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it.
Can I just jump in 1 second?
Yeah.
Let me leave you with a really valuable, really quick framework. If you go and do what Jaryd's saying, and you go and buy yourself a site, right? Go and purchase a few credits from a tool called Page Optimizer Pro. Build your pages according to my 10 by 10 strategy. I'm sure we'll put the link somewhere for that, right?
Yeah, we'll grab it.
It's a YouTube. Yeah, it's only like a 10-minute YouTube video. Follow that guide. Use Page Optimizer Pro to make the pages, and then use my free link building system. And you'll notice you've probably spent like $10 here total.
Yeah.
This will blow up the traffic for your new site and therefore the value. And if you keep that up for like 6 months and then sell the site on, you'll make a fuckload of profit.
And that's a great way to be buying and flipping sites, guys. So Dan, thanks so much. I'll get those links in the show note to that video. Check out his group. Everybody that is listening, thank you for listening. If you like, subscribe so you can get more episodes, notified to you. And if you did like this episode, please leave a review and let me know what you liked about this and the show so I can bring more of it to the show and more awesome guests like Dan. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, Dan.
See ya.
Peace.